Hello and welcome to a short video to share with you a technique to do a very simple inspection and test of your driveshaft assembly. Now, before we start, I just want to be clear, this is not a replacement for physically inspecting your driveshaft, where you drop off your caliper, take the assembly off, take the driveshaft out and inspect those universal joints and make sure those splines aren't seized. In other words, lubricate them up. That still does need to be done every few years. But the technique I'm going to show you, I've been using for a long time, and it really does help identify problems really early on. The technique you can apply on all of your R series, that's the R, the RS, the RT, the GS, the GSA, in fact the Triumphs as well, anything with a drive shaft. Now the skills you're going to be using during this test are very simple. You're going to be listening very carefully and you're going to be feeling with your hands. We're not going to take anything off the bike. It is very simple and easy to do. Let me show you what you do. So what I'm going to show you are two simple tests you can do with your motorbike at home, or you can use this if you're going to look at a bike that you're thinking of buying. But I just want to stress this is not, absolutely not, a replacement for a physical inspection of the drive shaft, which is what you really should be doing if you've had your bike a few years, where we drop everything off, and there are a lot of videos showing you how to do this, and we physically take the drive shaft out, or at the very least inspect that universal joint at the bottom and the one at the top. But this simple test will give you a basic indication of the condition of the drive shaft. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to put the bike onto the center stand, make sure the bike's in neutral, and then we can rotate the wheel. Now we'll notice that, and I'll be quiet in a moment, when we start to rotate the wheel, the first thing that we're going to hear are the brake pads gently rubbing against the brake disc. And if I'm quiet and I rotate the wheel, hopefully you can hear that. You can distinctly hear the pads scraping on the discs. So what we want to do, we want to remove that noise for this test. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take my hand firmly and I'm going to press inwards and then release that piston, and I'm going to push fairly hard for about 15 seconds. And what that will do, providing the caliper's not seized, which is normally the case, that will then give us some fore and aft, some in and out movement of that brake caliper. So we're going to push it in and then bring it back ever so slightly, and then, first time, bit of luck. What that then labels as, if I'm quiet and we then spin the wheel, you can no longer hear the pads scraping on the brake disc. So we've removed that noise. So any noise that we hear now is either going to be from the drive assembly or from the drive shaft. So what we're going to do, we're going to rotate the wheel slowly, forward first of all, and then rearwards, and we're going to have a very careful listen inside here. This is where the first universal joint is, and the second one is up here. And all we're going to do is rotate the wheel, and if I'm quiet, we'll just rotate it . Like so. You're going to be listening inside here and inside here, and what you're looking for, or what you're listening for, is there doesn't really want to be any noise. There doesn't want to be any crunching, any clonking, any banging, any notchy feeling to rotating that wheel. So that's the first indication and the first simple test we can do. Now the next test we're going to do, we're going to put the bike into gear. So now the bike's in gear, so this wheel will only rotate forwards or backwards approximately 35 to 40 millimeters. So what we're going to do, we're going to push the wheel at finger pressure all the way forward until it stops, and then we're going to grab the wheel firmly and we're going to push fairly firmly in this direction and have a listen up here and have a listen down there. I'll do that now. And you'll notice the wheel will move forward a very small amount, 3 to 5 millimeters. That's absolutely fine. And what we're listening for, again, is we don't want to hear any graunching, any grinding, any unusual noises whatsoever. And then we'll do the reverse. We take our finger pressure, we've moved the wheel rearwards until it gently stops. We're going to take hold of the tire and we're going to push it firmly back that way. Again, listening here first and then listening up there. and you'll find that it will move just a couple of millimeters, but I'm not hearing any strange noises. So if I'm quiet, and I do that quite quickly both sides, yeah. So I'm not hearing or feeling any unusual movement, any unusual noises from this location or this location. Now, this is only a simple test, but this is something everybody can do with their bikes on a regular basis once a year. Just have a look before you're going on an adventure, a simple test. But I just want to highlight, this is not a replacement for having your drive shaft tested at BMW, or indeed dropping the assembly down and having a physical inspection yourself, but it does give you a basic indication of the condition of the drive shaft. So before we finish, there are two things we need to remember. One, put the bike back into neutral, and the second thing is, because we freed off that rear caliper on the rear, we mustn't forget to reapply the rear brake pedal, this one here, and we need to press that up and down 4 or 5 times to reapply and to readjust that mechanism inside here, so that we have a rear brake that functions properly when we go to pull away. Let's move on. So as you've just seen, that is a really simple test. It's very easy to do, and I think owners of all abilities, of all levels of mechanical understanding will be able to do that test. The key really is to make sure that those brake pads aren't rubbing on that brake disc on the rear, so that when you spin the wheel you don't hear any noise from the brake assembly. And then it is really very, very easy to hear any unusual noises. And the key thing is, when you rotate that wheel forwards or backwards, you shouldn't hear any unusual noises at all from that drive assembly. And then with the hands, what you're listening for, or what you're feeling for, is a nice smooth rotation of that back wheel. And you don't want to find or feel any knottiness or any sticking points when you're rotating that back wheel. Anyway, once you've done it a couple of times, you'll very easily get used to what you should be feeling. And then as time moves along, if you do this once a year when you're doing your oil change, or at the start or the end of the season, you will very easily be able to spot when things start to go wrong and you start to find wear on those universal joints. Anyway, thank you very much for your time today. There is more coming on this particular bike. This is the 2010 oil-cooled. This is the technical update bike. For me, this is a bike that if you really don't have a lot of money, 5 grand, yes, just £5,000, the equivalent in US dollars and Canadian dollars and Australian dollars, you can pick up one of these bikes, and I'm going to be covering this more as the season goes along. See you soon. Thanks for your time.